Hi, so I just wanted to do a quick video on explaining the biology and the life cycle of the Varroa Mite. So here in New Zealand we have Varroa destructor. So I just wanted to show you how they live in the beehive and what they can do within the hive. So we've already monitored this hive for Varroa and we know that the numbers in here are very high. So I'm sure we'll be able to see some Varroa in this hive and how they're living. Now, if we think about how the Varroa first came into this hive, they would have actually hitched a ride on a bee. So the Varroa actually hold on to the bee's body, usually on its abdomen, and they just hold on with their eight little legs. And that is how it would have got in here. So this little bee with one little Varroa on it, either through drift or robbing, would have got into another hive. And so that Varroa that's holding on to the bee, as soon as it got into contact with another bee, it would have just basically jumped ship. And that's how this hive would have originally got Varroa. And so that little Varroa would have been a female. And as soon as she'd got into this hive, she would have climbed off that bee and found her way towards the larvae. So remember, a queen in your hive lays an egg, little egg hatches into a little larvae, is fed lots of food, and then it is capped over. So right at the end of that difference between from turning from a larvae into a pupae and having the cap on, that's when the Varroa actually climbs down into that cell. So the Varroa know where the larvae are. I'm just going to see if I can find one for you. And they will climb into that cell at exactly the right time, just before they're about to be capped. And so they know that they are very, very safe once they get under that capping. And so they will actually climb underneath that big fat larvae and hide right under there, under all the food and all the nectar. And then the worker bees come along, not even knowing it's in there, and they will actually put that cap on top and basically just lock it in there. So it's got this beautiful little safe house to live in. So once the Varroa have got into the hive and they've crawled underneath the big larvae and they're hiding underneath it, and then, like I say, the workers come along and put the cap on top. So it's got this beautiful little safe house, completely safe from any of the bees. And underneath there, while that larva is pupating, the Varroa is actually feeding on that larvae. So that female Varroa that's gone in there, once it's capped over, as soon as the first thing it will do is actually lay an egg. And that egg, that very first egg, is always a male. And so once that male hatches, the female in there will actually mate with that male, her own offspring, and then she will continue to lay eggs after that, because now that they're fertilised, because she's mated with the male, she will then continuously lay eggs after that. So remember that your worker brood is only under the cap there for a couple of weeks, and so she's got a short amount of time to hopefully lay those fertilised eggs, and then they have to also be feeding on that larvae and be able to grow and become mature. So because it's quite a short amount of time for her to quickly do that, she goes in there, lays a male, and then lays fertilised eggs. When this bee hatches out of here, it's usually still that original female plus one more. So it's really only increased by one. That's the average. And I say one, there's quite a few other females in there, but they're not mature enough to go out and start laying eggs themselves. So if you're talking about them sort of increasing their population, she really only does it one at a time. But if you think about our drone brood, you can see our drone brood along here, the bigger poking out stuff here. As we know, drones, when they pupate, they are in there for longer. It's not that much longer, but still that couple of days longer lets that Varroa, the original female that's in there, when she hatches out, she doesn't just have one mature offspring, she has two. Because they've just had those couple of extra days to mature in there, and then so Varroa will actually preferentially choose to lay their eggs under drone comb. So they know that they can actually get more offspring out of there and obviously increase their population faster. So that's an amazing thing that the Varroa do, and they know where the drone comb is. They will choose it, therefore that they will increase their population faster. So while the Varroa are underneath the cappings, they are actually feeding on the pupae. So they're literally sucking all of the sort of bodily fluids basically out of these larvae. So a lot of them, you'll notice they either don't hatch or when they do hatch, they're really sort of malformed and they're just not as healthy as they should be, because like I say, having all of your sort of basically your gut sucked out of you by a little parasite is never going to be good for anyone. So if you notice in your hive that you have brood that's not hatching, or bees that are looking not like their normal selves, you might be able to actually scoop out some of the pupae, and actually if you see the Varroa on there, then you know you've got Varroa in your hive, and then we need to do the steps to try and kill some of that Varroa. So in summary, the Varroa can get into your hive by holding on to adult bees that can fly in there, and they live the majority of their life underneath the capping, so in the pupae, and that's where they breed and reproduce.